Well, hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Dwayne Butcher of Lean Frontiers, and I'll serve as your host today. I'm excited to bring to you today this short webinar in which we're going to discuss a topic that I know I'm excited about as well as Jay, and that's Toyota Kata. Today's webinar is going to be facilitated by really one of North America's most experienced Kata practitioners in Jay VanderZwaag. Today's webinar is being recorded, so if you have the opportunity, you can review this at a later point, or if you want to review this with others in your organization, you can look for an email from me following the webinar with details on how to access that. So for now, let me turn things over to Jay.
Okay, good morning, everyone. As Dwayne said, my name is Jay VanderZwaag. I'm coming to you live from Holland, Michigan. This is my home office, and I want to talk to you about Toyota Kata, and I want to also talk to you about beyond the book. And some of my discussion is going to be beyond the book. So I call this the Kata Connection, and I want you to let you know that I am revved up about the Kata Connection. Now, I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with the television show from Gas Monkey Garage. It's called Fast and Furious Revved Up. And so I'm utilizing that theme for the day because I am truly revved up about the possibilities and the opportunities that the routine of Toyota Katas have brought to not only my organization but many others across North America, perhaps even some of yours. So I want to start with this, utilizing the fast and furious approach. I'm a Ford guy, and I actually own a Ford Fusion, and I own a Ford F-150. And I want to let you know that there are so many nice vehicles on the road, and yet, forgive me for saying this, yet they are very much average. And so what I see on this screen are some very nice vehicles, but yet average vehicles. Now, back in the 70s, I actually owned this vehicle. This is a 1969 Firebird. It's got a 400 small block in it, and this was a revved up vehicle. Not your average vehicle and not something that you see on the road today very often. But the difference between an average vehicle and a revved up vehicle is something that we can all appreciate, I'm sure. Well, oftentimes what I see is many companies are actually working in a fast and furious pace, but sometimes not so revved up. What I see are a lot of companies that are functioning in the average mode, and I want to share with you what's taken my company and my mindset from being, fast and furious to just, from trying to just get it done to let's get it done methodically. Let's get the improvement. Let's function as a business and do it deliberately and do it routinely, and take ourselves and our companies from just average to revved up. I want to spend a little bit of time with you talking about not only my past experience and my own personal development for the past 30 years or so. I have been taught the lean tools that you see on the right-hand side of the page. And I've become what some may consider an expert, and perhaps your company is developing subject matter experts in SMED, in Kanban, in change management, standard work, all the fundamental tools of Lean, including Kaizen and Visual Factory. Presentation and facilitation skills are something that needs to be done, and TWI, the training within industry, is a huge tool. Beyond that, project management and mistake proofing, problem solving, and 5S, all the management support systems we have as a Lean thinking community have really pushed these tools into place and into our organizations. And what I see is and I've even practiced this myself, I thought the tools alone, just utilizing the tools, would help me improve and help do some big things for the organization. Well, the fact of the matter is I needed to look beyond the Lean tools. I need to dig into what my policy deployment is, what my daily management system is, and what type of improvement system am I going to use continuously. And what I have found to be far more effective than what many systems I've used in the past is what we now know as Toyota Kata, and the tools, the methodology, the systems, the process of how that works. So the experience has shown that in many organizations there are three critical elements, and what we've recognized ourselves is three critical elements. One of them being the policy deployment process, the other being a daily management system, and the other being a continuous improvement system. Many companies do these to some degree. Most of the time they're done in silos. Most of the time they are disconnected. Many use as a bundle of tools and Lean tools and call that daily management and call that continuous improvement. Even to the organizational alignment and deployment is often poor when you start looking at these three circles. Most of the interactions are transactional, and like I said earlier, I have been guilty of this myself, and just saying, let's just get it done. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to get it done, but let's just get it done. Most are focused primarily on outcomes, and there are little to no focus. Even in today's market, what I see is there's very little skill development. Oftentimes when I'm in a company, I look at and I do an assessment on personal development, and there's a lot of scratching of heads that I find to say, well, we haven't really gotten into that yet. And the one thing that Toyota Kata has done for me is to look beyond the tools and beyond improving the process to beginning to rev up my own company as well as others, the Kata Connection piece, and to help people develop the skill sets to improve their business, do it scientifically, and yet do it deliberately. There's a much more revved up way beyond the tools, and we call this the Kata Connection. So what I've said is what's got me revved up through this Kata Connection is I want to take each one of these three elements and create routines within the three elements and make sure that these routines are connected. One way we need to do this is, first of all, through the organization, is we need to become aware of what type of systems do we have in place. Are we aware of what type of policy deployment we have? What type of annual strategic planning, ocean planning, whatever you want to call it, what type of system do we have? And how much awareness throughout the organization is there? I need to become aware of my daily management system. I need to become aware of what type of continuous improvement I use. Am I using Kaizen? Am I using Kata? Am I using just the tools? What type and how aware of the continuous improvement activities and processes are we using through our organization? So we need to take that awareness and we need to develop routines to help us better understand how are we going to practice, how are we going to apply the three elements of policy deployment, daily management, and daily improvement. How are we going to practice this regularly? How are we going to apply it through our organization? How are we going to coach each one of these elements through the organization? So we need to look at our awareness. We need to look at how we're going to apply it, how we're going to develop our routines, how we're going to practice, and how we're going to coach. And what that'll lead to is an alignment or a connection between the three to help better understand how are we going to develop our organizational skill set, how are we going to develop our mindset, how are we going to develop people's skills to solve the problems within the own organization, within their own areas, within their own departments, within their own teams. How are we going to help develop those skill sets to solve the problems, adapt, innovate, and to achieve the challenges set before us as an organization? Another thing that's got me revved up about this Kata Connection is that there are leadership behaviors that are absolutely critical to this deployment. The leadership behavior is key, and we need to be also aware of how are our leaders deploying the strategy of the organization. How are we applying and deploying our daily management system, and how are our leaders coaching and developing skill sets throughout the organizations to help us achieve through these behaviors, through these routines, through this deliberate practice, through this coached behavior. How are we doing? And I got to tell you, since the book came out, my game plan has changed tremendously. Not only my game plan, but my mindset. As you read through the book, and hopefully many of you have, but understanding the process analysis through the improvement kata, understanding which way we're going, and that's where you get the policy deployment. Understanding our current condition, that's where we begin to understand our daily management system, as well as understanding our next target condition, and then PDCA-ing our way toward that challenge or toward that target condition is something that is where we begin to practice the continuous improvement scientifically as well as behaviorally. So this is what's got me revved up. I started reading the book in 2009, I believe. I've got my first book from Mike, and we started practicing at Delta Faucet. We spent about a year's time learning and understanding the improvement kata, the coaching kata, and since then our practice has become much further than the book, but utilizing the book as our baseline and creating these routines. I'm going to back up one. Creating the routines, creating the practice, developing our own selves as a coach, and not worrying about pushing tools but actually pulling the tools in when they're needed through these routines. And at the same time, the relationships that are established throughout the organization and developing people skills has just got me fired up about what to do and where we're going as a country and perhaps as a world. But again, the leadership behaviors are definitely the key. Now, I want to take this a little bit further and say that policy deployment and the routines that are established, the daily practice, we need to look at our leadership development. We need to take a look at what our management metrics are, what types of patterns and routines are we establishing through the annual planning process, and how are we cascading these throughout the organization, and most importantly, how are we coaching the rest of the organization toward achieving these objectives that we have in our management metrics. The next step is to create a daily management system through glass walls, dashboards, team boards, and even in here is where we begin to develop the lean tools, as well as, and what I say by developing, I mean not copying, but actually developing and getting them to work within your organization is something that's going to be critical in order for it to truly stick. We have to also develop our patterns and routines through our daily management system and through our daily management process, understanding the role of the coach, understanding the role of leadership, and understanding that this daily management system is meant to achieve the policy deployment and the management metrics that have been put in place. Once we have that installed, we can begin to deploy the Toyota Kata mindset and behaviors and help develop people for improvement, adaptability, and superior results. Once we have these three in place and deliberately practicing and deliberately coaching, it's amazing how far the organization will go from one end of the spectrum to the other regarding the challenges of the organization annually, policy deployment, the process management, the daily management system, and then the daily improvement methodologies that we're going to be using. This is what we call the Kata Connection. And again, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of work through the leadership of the organization to help us better understand how do we put these three pieces in place, or even more so important, how do we connect them to make sure that we call this our management system. So what's got me revved up is the fact that we have many organizations have practiced the policy deployment. Many organizations have practiced a daily management system, and many organizations are practicing the continuous improvement activity, but not many organizations are actually combining or connecting these three to call this their own methodology. So once again, I just want to stress the fact that you too can get revved up about these routines, and each one of the management systems we have in place we need to become aware of. We need to understand what the policy deployment is through our organization. We need to understand what type of daily management system are we going to put in place, and what types of continuous improvement methodologies are we going to put in place. And I do believe that the book Toyota Kata helps us understand actually all three of these things, and actually will help us better understand them through deliberate practice, through leadership practice, through leadership coaching, and actually going out and applying the methodologies throughout the organization. And what that'll do is it'll help us understand how to better deploy this organizationally through this deliberate practice. So anyway, that's what's got me revved up about Toyota Kata. Now I can tell you this, that I've practiced this a couple of different times, and sometimes I hit the 20-minute mark, and sometimes I hit the 30-minute mark. I think going through this in a very structured way, I actually achieved my 30-minute deadline. I thought maybe I was going to go over a little bit because I have a tendency to talk, but anyway, that's what's got me revved up. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about that Kata Connection, you can contact me through Lean Frontiers or through my own our own website to talk more about how to become aware of this organizationally. How do we go about applying this organizationally, and how do we develop our skill sets from the leadership of the organization throughout all work groups, throughout all departments, into the plant or into the office, into the hospitals, wherever it is that you're working. How do we do that? I'd be more than happy to help. So once again, that's what's got me revved up. It's called the Kata Connection. It is combining many of the systems and processes that we've known for many, many years, but how to make them connected and how to get them connected. So with that said, I am done with the presentation, and I wish you all the very best. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your holiday, 4th of July coming up, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Jay, would you mind sharing your email address with folks? We're getting a couple people asking that question.
Sure, I can do that. You want me to just say it?
Yeah, and then I'll also include it in a follow-up email, but specifically had a couple questions.
Okay.
For that.
My email is 3 letters, Dwayne. 3 letters, JVZ at w3groupllc.com. JVZ at w3groupllc.com.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, Jay, thanks for facilitating our short session here today, and we certainly appreciate your insights, not only today, but really building up to today. Anyone out there knows Jay's been working on this about as long as anybody. So, Jay, thanks for your work and your insights here. As mentioned earlier, I have recorded this webinar, and we'll make that available if you want to share it with others in your organization or review any particular parts of this. You're certainly welcome to do that. So look for an email from me shortly. And I can't hang up without a brief mention of the something that both Jay and I, actually it's where I met you last year, Jay, at the Kata Summit.
Yep.
Down in Fort Lauderdale. Well, we're doing that again. The Kata Summit dates have been announced again in February of 2016, and we're going to be back down in the same area. February in the Miami area, Miami, Florida area is not a bad place to be. So,
yeah, that's right.
You go to katasummit.com. You'll find not only the dates and some basic information and the ability to register for the Kata Summit, but also there's a tremendous number of resources. A number of the recordings from the first inaugural Kata Summit are actually out there for you to watch and participate in. So, Jay, thanks again for your time, and have a great weekend. And thanks for everyone for participating today.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Bye-bye.
Y'all have a great weekend.